You don't want to miss what this fantastic group of experts that I've assembled for you has to say about the Bank of Canada. June 7th. Interest rate announcement. I have assembled some of Canada's best realtors, economists, mortgage brokers, investors, lawyers, and justice queens to help you figure out what to do next. Please give me a follow and a like, and let's see what these experts have to say.
This is for Daryl, who asked me to put together my thoughts on the Bank of Canada rate hikes coming up. I have rumor to believe that TIF Macklin is in fact long. A couple pre-sale condos may or may not have purchased through Jordan Skrinko, the Don. And so because of that, I'm going to say no rate hike from the BOC in the month of June. No rate hike.
In my opinion, I don't think they're going to hike rates again. Would I like to see them hiking rates again? Yeah. Do I think it's going to happen though? Absolutely not. I think they are way too weak, and they're also looking at the fact that people are struggling massively. You have to remember the economy is in much more debt. A lot of people say, wow, Luke, interest rates back in the 1970s, you know, they got up near 20%. That's right, but debt to income ratios were way lower back then. So holding a rate at 4.5% is actually like the equivalent to like 18% that it was back then.
It's a Friday night after a super long week, and I could be hanging out with my family. You know, I could be sitting by a fire. I could go down here right to the water. Check that out. But instead, Daryl Frankfurt wants to know what I think Bank of Canada is going to do. And honoring Daryl, I'm going to do a walk around video like the Frankfurt report and just turn it any direction at any time and tell you guys what's going on. Even though the last time I did this for Daryl, he didn't even put my response in his video. He cut it out. And you know what? I was right that time, but no one will ever know. So if you see this, he actually liked what I said this time. Now, here's what I think Bank of Canada is going to do. I think they're going to hold rates. I think there's obviously a possibility that they go up 0.25 because of the inflation data coming in a bit higher than we were expecting based on the last report. But my gut tells me they're going to hold firm here. And I think the better question is, if they do go up 0.25, what will that actually do to the market? We're seeing the amortizations being extended on these variable rates that are hitting the trigger rates. So obviously that's not good if you're that type of person and they go up again, because you're just paying more interest every single month. But is this going to be a thing that cracks the market, that actually brings more inventory to the market? That I'm not so sure of. And you know what? If you're buying real estate in Canada, you should always be buying with a 10-year hold. This piece of property behind me, I bought this during the pandemic, and you know what? At the time, I may have overpaid. But I knew my numbers. I understood that I wasn't buying this for a 2-year hold. I'm buying this to come up with my family and build memories. And I love it here. So if you're buying a house, think long term. Most people these days are not taking a variable rate. The current buyers in today's market, they're taking about a 3-year fix. That's at least what I'm seeing. So what I can guarantee is that whatever Bank of Canada does during their next announcement, the sun will rise tomorrow. Think long term for real estate. And Daryl, please put me in the video this time.
The next Bank of Canada meeting is on June 7th, and I suspect that rates will hold exactly where they are. I think the Bank of Canada is going to want to see an additional month of inflationary numbers to get a grip on exactly what's happening. It appears that inflation stalled, moving the wrong way. They were anticipating a 4.1% rate, but it came in at 4.4, a little bit higher than March, and it's put the Bank of Canada in a tough situation. I don't feel great about Tiff's position. He's stuck. Too much stimulus is still in the marketplace, and inflation is still running rampant. But I think it's going to be a hold on June 7th.
What do you think the Bank of Canada is going to do in June, you ask? Well, I don't know. We could be in tough. I think there's a very good chance they will hold again in hopes that they don't have to raise, but I think they do have to raise. And I do think, I don't know if it's going to be in June, but at some point in the next couple, they're going to raise a 1/4 point. And by the end of the year, I won't be shocked if they raise 50 more points at some point. But who knows? I guess that depends on inflation.
So long as the US doesn't default on its debt, I think we'll see the Bank of Canada raise rates by a quarter point at its June announcement. With the real estate market shooting back upward and the Federal Reserve already raising their rates higher than that of Canada's, I think the bank has been looking for an excuse to reverse course on its pause. And with inflation coming in much hotter than expected, I think that gives the Bank of Canada the excuse it needs to raise rates.
So I was asked for my Bank of Canada rate hike prediction, and I can't give a prediction because I'm not a realtor. I don't have a crystal ball. You know how they have crystal balls and they go around all over the place predicting the future? That's not me. All I can say is I do think that they do need a rate hike to get inflation under control. This guy over here in this picture, Derek Holt, actually predicted back in October 2021 that there would be 8 rate hikes by the end of 2023, and people thought he was crazy. And he came out recently and he also said that there was like more rate hikes in order to get inflation down to the target that the Bank of Canada wants it to be at. And I also have a question for you. Where are all those protesters? Like all those people that were crying in the streets about their home purchases and how will they be able to close on them and all that? They all like disappeared out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, like people are bidding up on housing again. So you know what? Maybe more hikes are needed.
People smarter than me are already saying that rates are going to go up in June, and they likely are, probably by 25 basis points, but I think that is not what's newsworthy. What's noteworthy for me is that it feels like the market in the GTA has actually peaked, at least in some areas. You're starting to see a lot of relists. People are not getting what they want on offer nights. And to top it off, you're getting a lot more listings coming on the market. I can already feel it with my own buy-side clients, is that sentiment is shifting and people are getting a lot more picky, and this usually always happens when you get a lot more inventory. So to me, the interest rate hike is moot. It's for the most part irrelevant. I think it's already been priced in and it's so small that it's not really going to move the needle on anything. However, some people might correlate this hike as if it's going to change the market, but the market is already changing as we speak, and we're entering into the seasonal, slower part of the summer market. At least that's what I'm seeing right now. Whether or not this develops into a trend, who knows?
Hey Daryl, my insight and my guess completely from aggregating from YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok is that there's going to be no hike coming up this announcement.
So what is the Bank of Canada going to do in the first week of June? Well, I think that there is broad concern now at the bank, and focus on real estate is primarily what it's concerned about above all else. Remember, Bank of Canada has to care about imports, exports, oil, gas, whole range of other areas. But I think our regulatory bodies have been very clear that, sirens are going off. The unexpected spring demand and the rising price increases created certain pressures that I don't think a lot of people expected. Having said that, over the past several days, I've noticed a different trend. The spring market, I think, is coming to an end. I think more supply is coming to the market for sure. And I think more balanced pricing is in the mix. Given that we still have a week to go, I'm speaking just in the last couple of days of May, given that we have a couple more days to go so that more data can be accumulated, if this trend continues, I think the bank will be more content keeping its interest rates steady, certainly not lowering them, but not needing to raise them. The prospect of raising them is causing fear in the markets, and that is a helpful tool that they have going forward as well. So for now, I'm going to call for an interest rate pause, not decline, and I guess we'll see where we are post June 7th.
So my fun and fearless forecast for June 7th Bank of Canada rate announcement is that Mr. Tiff Macklem is going to leave those rates exactly where they are. I think he's going to be hard pressed to increase rates given the contribution that the interest payment on a mortgage is, for example, the interest payment portion of it is to the cost of inflation, as well as what it does in terms of driving rent increases. And let's face it, it is not effective in decreasing the cost of some of the essentials such as food. So I think Tiff is hard pressed to increase it. I think he's going to leave it right where it is. And the true forecast is, I have no idea.
I personally do not think that the Bank of Canada is going to raise rates on June 7th.
So apparently we got this rate announcement coming up on June 7th that everybody's talking about because inflation numbers have started to creep back up and people are itching for those rates to start coming down. The truth of the matter is we've already had enough rate increases. There's already enough pressure. The people right now who've got a high amount of debt service are struggling, you know, and I think that those inflation numbers are going to fluctuate over time, but I don't think we need any more rate hikes. I think that the job has already been done by the Bank of Canada, and that we should expect that the rates are going to stay around this level for an extended period of time. I don't see rates going back down for a couple years, and I think that we're going to be in this environment that people are going to have to get used to. So there you have it. Those are my predictions. I'm only wrong 50% of the time. We'll see you guys soon.